Today I'm going to show you what a $100,000 Rise of Kingdoms account actually looks like, because I did the math, and over the 4 years that I have been playing this game, I have managed to spend almost $101,000 in this game. So stick around in this video for a breakdown of all of the stuff I've accumulated and where I've spent my money. Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and today's video is sponsored by the makers of Rise of Kingdoms. And I want to show you in this video where I've spent over $100,000 in game. And yes, that is money I have spent. That is not money the developers reimburse. There is no in-game stuff that they send to content creators. That is money I have chosen to spend, in part to make great content, in part because I enjoy the game. And I'm kind of hyped to show you this. I do this report every single year, breaking down where I've done my spending. But before I get into that, I want to share with you the results of a poll I ran on my channel to see how much you all have been spending in Rise of Kingdoms. And some people maybe look at this and be like, oh my God, that's a lot of money, Chisgule. But let me show you what people have been spending. According to all of you all, over, let's see here, 4,000, almost 5,000 people responded. 34% of you that watch my channel are free to play. 27% spend between $1 and $100. About 26% spend between $101 and $2,000 over this last calendar year. Then 10% spent between $2,000 and $20,000 in 2023. And 3% claim to be in the Kraken Club with Chisgule Gaming at over $20,000 spent in the last year. Now, the crazy part is that these results actually are very similar between this year's respondents and last year's respondents and how much we've been spending in game. This, of course, is a good time for me to remind you to consider your priorities in life, whether it's spending in a mobile game or things like saving for retirement, having an emergency fund, getting out of credit card debt, and staying out of credit card debt. Please make smart choices for yourself. With that said, with the 1,583 consecutive login days on my account at 172 million power, I have accumulated a maximum power of 216 million, 66 million dead troops, almost entirely T5s, and I've picked up 13.4 billion kill points. Oh, by the way, I work for it, baby. Almost 41.5 billion resources gathered. And no, I don't do much resource assistance from my main account, because my main account is here to actually do all the fighting. If I'm sending resources, they come from my farm. That's where you'll see resource assistance. And my farm is always in the same kingdom as my main. Now, the funny thing is that my farm is actually also 76 million power, which is a little nutty. Maybe I should be giving a tour of that account as well. But anyways, here are the commanders that I've got. Now, I showed this at the start of the video. I have 49 expertise legendary commanders and enough sculptures to probably expertise a couple more as well. In fact, I can show you. I'm sitting on 1,200 sculptures. Deployed correctly, I could probably expertise another 3 commanders on the spot. And I am slowly working on Chandragupta from the daily special offer for whatever that's worth. The sets of armor that I've got look like this. I've got multiple crit sets. The accessories are definitely going to take a really long time to do, though. That's where I'm lacking crits, but obviously I've got a lot here. This is 56 pieces of legendary equipment, and 34 are special talented. That is 3 infantry sets, 2 archer sets, and 2 cavalry sets. This set is almost done. We're not quite there yet. And then boom, this is my best of the best. This is my infantry set that is absolutely insane. And this is my weakest set. This is my Trajan. I don't know what exactly is going on with leadership or what the future of this will look like. So I'm waiting as long as I possibly can to start talenting leadership gear, but we're pretty much at that point where I will probably start talenting that. And one thing that you should consider looking at when you're evaluating a really high power account is the legendary city themes that they've got. I've got the Divine Abode, the Saints Halo, the Flight of the Heron, and cruising on down, I really like the Dynastic Conqueror. This one I use really like all the time. Also, I've got the Star Palace set up to do some rallies and garrisons with archers here, and I am, in a really good spot with my archer equipment. And I'm not sure if I showed, there's one more, Age of Devotion. Did I show Age of Devotion? So a bunch of really killer city themes here. But now let me show you how I've actually spent my money over the past 4 years that I've been playing. And also, I'll show you the breakdown of that spending over the last calendar year. Here is my spending over the last 4 years that I've been playing Rise of Kingdoms. I started in like September of 2018. Now that first year, I did not spend much at all. We're looking at $524 worth of spend. I was really like not much of a spender at all, actually. I mean, in mobile games, I had not spent all that much. Really, I hadn't up till this moment in time. From there, 2019, things really kicked into high gear. In 2020, I spent almost $23,000. In 2021, I really went ham. $31,604. This is all exclusively Rise of Kingdoms. That doesn't include other mobile game spending, by the way. And then in 2022, I spent $28,000. So last year, I toned down my spending. I kicked it back a little bit, which was very intentional. I felt like I went really over my budget in 2021. But in 2022, there are certain things and events that I couldn't justify spending on anymore. So for example, Esmeralda's Prayer, I used to stream that. People would watch it. But toward the end of, 2021, I felt like not that many people were kind of tuning into that stream anymore. People kind of lost interest in watching it. So events like that, I kicked back. Also, Wheel of Fortune. Often I would find myself expertising a commander in advance, so I would do less Wheels of Fortune. So 2021, I spent more. 2022, I spent less, for a grand total of $101,000, almost $101,000 over all the years that I've been playing Rise of Kingdoms. This does not include, by the way, the spending I did in 2023. That has been reasonable so far. I'll probably hit $2,000 this month. Now, reasonable is all a matter of perspective here. I think that the main way that my spending will be shifting is entirely towards armaments. I mean, that is the biggest gains I can get from my account. So let me show you the breakdown of my spending in 2022, and I'll tell you how I think this is going to shift. This table has the breakdown of what I was spending on, the different types of bundles. And I went in and I painstakingly reviewed every single transaction to categorize them. And the majority of my spending is on bundles that I would argue primarily gave speed ups. This is things like Call of the Ancients, things like holiday bundles, that primarily the reward you're getting is speed ups. From there, $6,500 on crystal technology. This is actually kind of less than I thought it would be, but about 25% of my budget for Rise of Kingdoms is just crystal technology. And if there's anything, sort of one thing you're going to spend on, in my opinion, after you do the high value stuff like Lucerne, after you do things like the gem supply, after you have passports on hand to make sure that you can be in the kingdom that you want to be in, I would argue Crystal Tech is probably the best place to be spending. That way, in KVKs, you have the most punch possible. Now, from there, equipment was just under $5,000. This used to be a much higher portion of my budget, actually. But the thing that's been happening is that more and more I am buying bundles that give me speed ups and then spend all the gems on events that give me materials. That's what I think is happening, okay? And so although commanders represent $1,600 of my spend, that's daily special offer plus bundles where I would sort of characterize it primarily as I've purchased this for the commanders. Things like the team draw event, for example, when I max that bundle, I count that in the commanders section. I will make the argument, however, that a lot of my gems are in fact going towards Wheel of Fortune. So although I'm not buying bundles, not a lot of money into bundles, specifically for commanders, a huge amount of the allocation of my gems is going to equipment and commanders. That's really entirely where it's going. Even the VIP shop, that's pretty much where it's going. And so here's a graph kind of showcasing what that looks like. Almost 50% on speed ups, almost 25% on crystal technology. And then equipment is just under 17%, commanders 6%, and passports. I mean, $1,000 feels like a lot of money, but it's only 3.5% of my money spent in Rise of Kingdoms. Now, keep in mind, this is actually across all of my accounts. So this spending includes my restart project. So I would argue of what you see here, actually about, let's call it $3,000 of that spend is on my restart account, and $25,000 of that spend was on my main account, just to give you a little bit of perspective. And then an inconsequential amount of money is spent on Lucerne and gems and passports for my farm account as well. I know that sounds weird, but at 76 million power, my farm account does need a moderate amount of passports to go anywhere. And also, I've always felt like if I run my gem supply there and I do my Lucerne, I'm getting a fair amount of value, and maybe I'll turn that into videos. But I honestly should probably stop doing that because it's really not supposed to be an alt. It's just supposed to be a farm. And I probably spend too much time micromanaging the account for being a farm. Speaking of which, this is my 76 million power farm. I actually have a ton of speed ups because this account has lived in main alliances for a really long time. I used to gem kingdom buffs, which is why I did that, but I also use this farm to kill off troops in KVKs. So I have a max power of 78 million, but I've actually killed 18 million T4 troops in KVKs. I mean, I just dump troops into flags, dump troops into forts. I'm not slacking on the resource gathering. 26.5 billion resources gathered and 34 billion resource assistance almost. And this account is actually stacked. Like the amount of materials and the amount of things that I can do with this account, patterns included, is actually kind of insane. So at some point, I'll do some kind of crazy crafting stream. That's the game plan. And my restart account is in a great spot too, right? I said I spent about $3,000 a year. Did I misspeak earlier and say $3,000 a month? $3,000 a year is what I've spent on this restart account. And it's in a great spot too. It's a very fun alt. I mean, I play it almost as if it's a main. It's currently 94 million power. We're looking at highest power 99 million, 9 million deads, almost entirely T5s, and another 24 billion resources gathered. I do not slack on the resource gathering. And the commanders and equipment here are pretty solid. Obviously, not as good as my main, but if we just cruise through this real quick, I've got all meta combos for the open field. I run 5 marches. They're very well equipped. And they are equipped extremely efficiently, by the way, right? So I have really enjoyed my time playing Rise of Kingdoms. Would I say that I regret the amount of money that I spend in this game? No, actually. As a content creator, keep in mind that for me, spending is literally a business expense. And when I spend on stuff, then I can show it to you and I make better content. And my philosophy has always been that I should be spending as a content creator so that I can show you more endgame stuff and have opinions based on my experience with commanders, my experience with equipment, my experience with armaments, rather than theories and conversations and advice coming from other people. I want all that firsthand experience to give you the best information that I can. And I feel like I'm accomplishing that. Now, in terms of what I spend moving forward, I don't know. $28,000 a year is a lot of money, especially considering that Call of Dragons is coming out. That's happening several months from now. I do plan to play Call of Dragons, and I will probably be spending there as well. Now, just because I start spending in Call of Dragons, I don't know that I can like double my mobile game spending to justify that exactly. I mean, if Call of Dragons is like insane and people are watching it like crazy and I get sponsored, I suppose I can justify that. But I will say the first month I move in on Call of Dragons, I am probably going nuts. So if you want to see that, or you've been enjoying the content here for Rise of Kingdoms, or want more daily Rise of Kingdoms videos designed to help you get value and smash your enemies, consider subscribing to the channel. And if you want to see what my spending looked like last year or the year before that. I'll have cards in the end screen here and here so you can see exactly what I was spending on and how that has changed over time.